Hello, everyone. I hope you are having a quiet and gentle moment today. Take a slow breath and allow your mind to become a little calmer. Today, we are going to talk about something very important, something that many people think about, but few people fully understand. Being a parent. It is a role that carries great responsibility, but also great emotion. Many people believe that being a good parent is simple. They think it means providing everything a child needs: food, education, safety. And while these things are important, they are not the whole story. Because being a parent is not only about what we give, it is also about how we connect. Many parents quietly ask themselves a question: Am I a good parent? This question is not always spoken out loud, but it often exists in the mind. It appears in small moments, when a child is upset, when a mistake is made, when a parent feels unsure, and sometimes it comes with another feeling: doubt, the feeling that we are not doing enough, the feeling that we might be making mistakes. But here is something important to understand. There is no perfect parent. Every parent makes mistakes. Every parent feels uncertain at times. Because parenting is not something we fully learn before we begin. It is something we learn while living it, day by day, moment by moment. And because of this, many parents begin with certain expectations. They imagine what kind of parent they will be. They imagine how they will act. They imagine how they will raise their child. But reality is often different. Children are not predictable. Situations change. Emotions become complex, and slowly parents begin to realize something. Being a good parent is not about control. It is about understanding. Understanding a child's needs. Understanding their emotions, understanding their growth. But this is not always easy, because children do not always express their feelings clearly. Sometimes they cry, sometimes they become quiet, sometimes they act in ways that seem difficult to understand. And in those moments, parents must do something very important. They must try to see the world through the child's eyes. This requires patience. It requires attention. It requires emotional awareness. But modern life can make this difficult. Parents are busy. They work. They manage responsibilities. They deal with stress. And in the middle of all this, it can be hard to slow down. It can be hard to listen deeply. So sometimes parents react quickly. They respond without thinking. They focus on behavior instead of emotion. But children are not only reacting to situations, they are expressing feelings. And when those feelings are not understood, a quiet distance can begin to form. This distance is not always visible. It does not always appear immediately, but over time it can grow. And this is why emotional connection is so important in parenting. Children do not only need guidance, they need to feel safe. Safe to express themselves. Safe to make mistakes. Safe to be who they are. And this sense of safety does not come from perfection. It comes from presence, from being there, from listening, from responding with care. But many parents misunderstand this idea. They believe being a good parent means always knowing the right answer, always making the right decision. But children do not expect perfection. They are not looking for a perfect parent. They are looking for a present one, a parent who tries to understand, a parent who listens, a parent who stays even when things are difficult. Another important aspect of parenting is something many people overlook: the emotional state of the parent. Children are very sensitive to emotions. They notice tone. They notice energy. They notice reactions. Even when nothing is said, children can feel what is happening. So when a parent is stressed, children often feel that tension. When a parent is calm, children often feel more secure. This means something very important. Being a good parent is not only about guiding the child, it is also about understanding yourself, your emotions, your reactions, your patterns, because the way a parent responds often becomes a model for the child. Children learn not only from words, but from behavior. They observe, they absorb, they imitate, and over time, these observations shape how they understand the world. This is why parenting is not just about teaching. It is about showing patience, showing kindness, showing respect, even in difficult moments. But of course, this is not always easy. Parents are human. They feel tired. They feel overwhelmed. They make mistakes. And sometimes they react in ways they later regret. But here is something very important to remember. Making mistakes does not make you a bad parent. What matters is what happens after the mistake. Do we reflect? Do we try to understand? Do we try to grow? These small moments of awareness are very powerful because they show the child something important. That growth is possible, that mistakes can be learned from, that relationships can be repaired, and this may be one of the most valuable lessons a parent can offer. Not perfection, but growth. And this is where the story begins to deepen. Because being a good parent is not about following a perfect method. It is about building a relationship that grows over time, a relationship that is shaped by understanding. And to truly understand this relationship, we need to look even deeper, not only at what parents do, but at what children truly need. To understand what it means to be a good parent, we need to look more closely at what children truly need. Many people think children need clear rules. They think children need discipline. They think children need structure. And these things are important, but they are not the most important. At the center of every child's life, there is a simple need to feel safe, not only physically safe, but emotionally safe. Emotional safety means something very specific. It means a child can express feelings without fear. It means a child can make mistakes without losing love. It means a child feels accepted, even when they are not perfect. This kind of safety is not created through words alone. It is created through repeated experiences. When a child is upset, how does the parent respond? When a child makes a mistake, what does the parent say? When a child feels confused, does the parent listen or react? These small moments build something powerful over time. Trust. Trust is the foundation of a strong parent-child relationship. Without trust, communication becomes difficult. Without trust, emotions are hidden. Without trust, distance begins to grow. But when trust exists, children feel comfortable sharing their inner world. They talk about their fears. They talk about their thoughts. They talk about their experiences. And this openness allows parents to truly understand their child. But building trust requires something very important: consistency. Children observe patterns. If a parent reacts with patience one day and anger the next, the child becomes uncertain. They begin to ask themselves, is it safe to express how I feel? This uncertainty can make children more quiet, more careful, more distant. So being a good parent often means being consistent. Not perfect, but steady, responding with care, even when it is difficult. Another important part of parenting is listening. Listening may seem simple, but true listening is rare. Many parents listen while thinking about something else. They listen while preparing a response. They listen while trying to solve the problem quickly. But children do not always need immediate solutions. Often they need to feel heard. When a child speaks, they are not only sharing information, they are sharing emotion. And when that emotion is understood, something important happens. The child feels valued. They feel that their voice matters. They feel that their thoughts are important. This feeling builds confidence. It helps children develop a stronger sense of self because they learn that their inner world has meaning. But when children are not fully heard, they may begin to withdraw. They may stop sharing as openly. They may keep their thoughts to themselves. And over time, this can create emotional distance. Another key aspect of parenting is guidance. Children need direction. They need boundaries. They need to understand what is right and wrong. But how this guidance is given is very important. If guidance comes with fear, children may follow rules, but they may not understand them. If guidance comes with respect, children begin to develop their own understanding. They learn not only what to do, but why it matters. This difference shapes how children grow. They do not simply follow rules. They develop values. And these values guide them even when no one is watching. There is also another important idea. Parents do not only teach children how to behave, they teach children how to feel. Through daily interactions, children learn how to respond to the world. If they experience patience, they learn patience. If they experience kindness, they learn kindness. If they experience understanding, they learn how to understand others. This is why parenting is not only about instruction. It is about modeling behavior. Children watch everything. They notice how parents speak. They notice how parents handle stress. They notice how parents treat other people. And slowly, these observations become part of the child's behavior. This means something very important. Being a good parent is not about controlling the child. It is about guiding by example. And this can be challenging because it requires parents to reflect on themselves, to notice their own reactions, to understand their own emotions. But this process is also an opportunity. It allows parents to grow alongside their children. Parenting becomes not only about raising a child, but also about understanding oneself more deeply. There is also another quiet truth about parenting. Children do not remember every word. They do not remember every rule, but they remember how they felt. They remember whether they felt safe. They remember whether they felt supported. They remember whether they felt understood. These emotional memories stay with them for a long time. They shape how they see relationships. They shape how they see themselves. And they influence how they interact with the world. So perhaps being a good parent is not about doing everything perfectly. It is about creating an emotional environment where a child can grow with confidence, an environment where mistakes are allowed, where emotions are understood, where connection feels natural. And when this kind of environment exists, something important begins to develop. A strong, healthy relationship. A relationship built not on control, but on trust. Not on fear, but on understanding. And this relationship becomes a foundation that supports the child throughout life. But even with all this understanding, there is still one important question left. How do parents balance everything? Guidance and freedom, structure and flexibility, responsibility and emotional connection. This balance is not easy, and this is where the story moves forward. From understanding what children need to understanding how parents can grow into that role. So now we return to the question, what does it really mean to be a good parent? The answer is not simple, and it is not the same for everyone. But there is one important truth. Being a good parent is not about being perfect. It is about being present. Presence means more than just being physically there. It means giving attention. It means noticing small changes. It means being emotionally available. In modern life, this can be difficult. Parents are busy. There are many responsibilities. There are many distractions. But for a child, even a small moment of true attention can be very meaningful. A short conversation, a quiet moment together, a simple act of listening. These moments may seem small, but they build something powerful over time. Connection. Another important idea is learning to accept imperfection. Many parents feel pressure to do everything right. They compare themselves to others. They worry about making mistakes. But children do not need perfect parents. They need real ones. Parents who try. Parents who care. Parents who are willing to learn. When parents accept their own imperfection, they also teach children something important, that it is okay to make mistakes. This creates a healthier emotional environment, because children learn that mistakes are part of growth, not something to fear. Another key part of parenting is repair. Even in loving families, there will be misunderstandings. There will be moments of frustration. There will be moments of conflict. This is natural. What matters is what happens after those moments. Do we ignore them? Or do we try to repair the connection? Repair can be simple. A calm conversation, an honest apology, a willingness to understand each other. These actions show children something very powerful, that relationships can be restored, that mistakes do not end connection. That understanding is always possible. Another important aspect of being a good parent is allowing children to grow into themselves. Children are not extensions of their parents. They are individuals. They have their own thoughts, their own interests, their own ways of seeing the world. So parenting is not about shaping a child into a specific image. It is about supporting their growth, helping them discover who they are. This requires trust. Trust that the child will learn. Trust that the child will grow. And sometimes, this means allowing them to make mistakes. This can be difficult because parents want to protect their children. But learning often comes through experience, through trying, through failing, through trying again. And when parents support this process, children develop confidence. They learn to trust themselves. There is also another important truth. Children do not only learn from what parents say, they learn from how parents live. If a parent shows kindness, the child learns kindness. If a parent shows patience, the child learns patience. If a parent shows respect, the child learns respect. This means that parenting is not only about guiding the child, it is also about how we live our own lives. Because children are always observing. They notice how we respond to stress. They notice how we treat others. They notice how we handle difficulties. And these observations shape their understanding of the world. So being a good parent also means being aware of ourselves. Not perfect, but aware. Trying to grow, trying to improve. This journey is not easy. There will be moments of doubt. There will be moments of exhaustion. There will be moments of uncertainty. But within these moments, there is also something meaningful, the opportunity to grow. Because parenting is not only about raising a child, it is also about becoming a better person, learning patience, learning empathy, learning understanding. And through this process, both the parent and the child grow together. So perhaps being a good parent is not about having all the answers. It is about being willing to learn. It is about being willing to listen. It is about being willing to stay present, even when things are difficult. And in the end, what children remember most is not perfection. They remember how they felt. They remember feeling safe. They remember feeling loved. They remember feeling understood. And these feelings stay with them throughout their lives. So maybe being a good parent is not about doing everything right. Maybe it is about creating a space where a child feels secure enough to become who they truly are. A space where they can grow. A space where they can learn. A space where they can feel accepted. And if we can offer even that, it may already be enough. Thank you for sharing this quiet story together. And as always, see you in the next story.